Have you ever wondered if there's a real connection between remembering your dreams and, well, really knowing yourself? It's a fascinating question, right? It sits right there where our sleeping and waking lives meet. Today, we're going to dive into the science behind our forgotten dreams.
I mean, it's a super common thing, isn't it? You might wake up with these crystal clear memories of a whole other world you were just in. Or you wake up with, absolutely nothing, just a blank slate. For the longest time, we've all wondered why. Is it just random luck, or is there something much, much deeper going on?
So, to get to the bottom of this, researchers basically put people into two camps. You've got your high recallers, who remember their dreams all the time, and then you have your low recallers, who almost never do. And believe me, understanding what makes these two groups different is the key to unlocking this whole mystery. So, what is it? What really separates these two groups? Well, as scientists have been finding out, the answer isn't as simple as just having a good memory. Not at all.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The ability to remember a dream, it turns out, isn't just some random mental quirk. The research is pointing to something way more profound. It seems to be deeply connected to your personality, to the actual wiring of your brain, and even to how you process your emotion. So let's tackle that first big piece of the puzzle, personality. What does the science actually say about the kind of person who tends to remember their dreams? What researchers have found here is actually pretty amazing and incredibly consistent. Study after study shows that high recallers tend to score way higher on a personality trait called openness to experience. These are people who are generally more creative, more curious, and just more invested in their own inner lives. Now, what's also interesting is that some studies link high recall to higher levels of neuroticism, or a tendency towards anxiety. It really paints a picture of a person who's just more tuned in to what's happening internally, for better or for worse. One study really hit the nail on the head. It's not a fluke. Your attitude towards dreams is part of a broader lifestyle and personality. What that really means is, if you're already the kind of person who's reflective, who's curious about your own thoughts and feelings, you're naturally going to pay more attention to your dreams. And boom, you remember them.
But this just opens up a whole new can of worms, doesn't it? Is this all just about personality, or can we actually see a physical difference in the brain? Is their neurobiology actually different? Well, the answer is a big, resounding yes.
So let's take a peek inside the brain itself. Using some really cool tools like EEG and fMRI scans, neuroscientists have started spotting some key biological differences between high and low recallers. Okay, so one of the main theories here is called the arousal and retrieve model. It suggests that high recallers aren't necessarily dreaming more, they're just waking up more often. We're talking about these tiny little micro-awakenings during the night. They're just long enough for the brain to do something absolutely critical, to take that fragile dream from short-term memory and lock it into long-term storage. So when they wake up for real in the morning, that memory is right there waiting for them.
And it gets even cooler. The difference is also visible in what's known as the default mode network, or DMN. Think of this as your brain's me-time network. It's buzzing when you're daydreaming, when your mind is wandering, or when you're thinking about yourself. And as you can see here, high recallers have a much more active DMN, and not just when they're asleep, but when they're awake too. It's just a brain that might just be fundamentally wired for self-reflection.
And the list just keeps growing. For example, high recallers are more reactive to sounds while they're sleeping, which probably helps trigger those little memory-saving awakenings. There are even structural differences in the parts of the brain related to memory. It all adds up to this really clear picture of a brain that's not just more inwardly focused, but maybe even better built to notice, process, and store all those wild fragments from our dream life.
All right, so we have personality traits on one hand, and we have real brain differences on the other. But what's the big takeaway here? How does all this science actually help you unlock your own inner world?
Let's get right to it. Here's the bottom line. Remembering your dreams isn't just a neat party trick. It's a signal. It points to a personality and a brain that are wired to be more in tune with your inner state. And that means your dreams are this powerful, built-in tool just waiting for you to use for self-discovery and personal growth.
And hey, these connections aren't just theories. They have real-world applications.
Take psychotherapy, for example. Tracking dreams can actually show real progress in how someone regulates their emotions. Or think about creativity. That openness and high recall can be a total goldmine for new ideas. And even on a personal level, studies on counselors who actually use dream work found that it makes them feel more empathetic and resilient. It becomes a tool with some seriously broad potential.
So let's boil this all down. If you walk away with anything, let it be these 3 crucial takeaways. First, how often you remember your dreams isn't just random, it's deeply tied to your personality. Second, your brain might literally be hardwired to pay more attention to your inner world. And finally, all this means that paying attention to your dreams isn't just fluffy stuff. It is a scientifically supported pathway to knowing yourself on a much, much deeper level.
Which really leaves us with one final thought. Whether you remember your dreams every single night, or you can't remember the last one you had, that inner world is always there, doing its thing. It just makes you wonder, doesn't it? If you just started paying a little more attention, what might your forgotten dreams be trying to tell you?